All right, today we are diving into one of the most dynamic, most active tenses in the entire English language, the present continuous. You can think of it as the tense that brings everything to life, showing action as it's actually happening.
You know, this quote right here, it's the key to understanding everything. Seriously, a photograph, that's the simple present. It's static. It captures one single fact, like he works in an office. But a movie, well, that's the present continuous. It shows the action as it's unfolding. He is working on a big project. See the difference? You're not just getting a fact, you're watching the story happen in real time.
So let's learn how to direct this movie tense, shall we? We're going to do that by mastering the grammar of now. Every good director needs a blueprint. And for us, that's the super simple formula we use to build this tense every single time.
Here's the recipe, broken down into 3 essential parts. First, you need your subject, the who or what doing the action. Then, and this is the really crucial part, you need the verb to be in its correct form, am, is, or are. You can't skip it. And finally, you just take your main action verb and pop that ing ending on it. That's it. Simple as that.
Now the key here is that the to be verb has to match the subject. Think of it like a simple handshake. They have to fit together. I always pairs with am. I am learning. He, she, or it always gets is. She is dancing. And for you, we, or they, you're going to use are. We are studying. That connection is the core of the whole thing.
So the last piece of the puzzle is adding that ing. But you got to watch out for a few little spelling traps. For verbs that end in a silent E, like make, you just drop that E before adding ing. For short, one-syllable verbs like stop, with that consonant-vowel-consonant pattern, you actually double that final letter. And for the weird ones that end in IE, like lie, you swap that out for a Y before you add the ing.
Okay, so we've got the blueprint down. We know how to build it. Now, the big question is, when do you actually use it? Let's look at the 4 essential situations where this tense really shines. Just think of these as the 4 main tools in your present continuous toolbox. First, we've got the really obvious one, actions that are happening right this second. Then we have temporary situations. And then we've got a couple of surprises, how we use it to talk about the future, and even how to complain about annoying habits.
So this is the one everybody learns first, right? It's for an action that is literally in progress as you're speaking. If you can shout luck or listen and then describe something, chances are you're using the present continuous. Shh, be quiet. The baby is sleeping. It's all about what's happening this very second.
Now let's look at the second use, temporary actions. This slide just perfectly lays out the difference. I read a lot of books. That's the simple present. It's a general fact about you, a habit. But I am reading a great book. Well, that's a temporary project. It's what you're busy with around now, maybe this week or this month, even if you're not doing it at this exact second.
Okay, this one is kind of surprising for a lot of people. We actually use this present tense to talk about the future. But here's the catch. It's only for plans that are already fixed and arranged. You got to think of it like an entry that's already in your calendar. When you say, I am flying to Rome next Tuesday, it's not just an idea. It implies the ticket is booked, the plans are made, it's a definite thing.
And finally, we have the emotional use. You know how we usually use the simple present to talk about habits? Well, if that habit is super annoying, you switch to the present continuous and you add words like always or constantly to show just how frustrated you are. It injects that negative emotion right into the sentence. She is always losing her keys. You can just feel the irritation in that, can't you?
All right, we've covered the structure, we've covered the uses. Now it's time for a crucial pro tip. This is the big exception you absolutely need to know to avoid some really common mistakes. So here's the rule, and it's a big one. Not all verbs are action verbs. Some verbs, and we call these stative verbs, describe states, not actions. Things like emotions, thoughts, or possession. And because they aren't actions in progress, you almost never use them in the continuous form.
Here are the main categories to look out for. Verbs for emotions like love or want, verbs for thoughts like know or believe,
and verbs for senses and possession. You see, they all describe a state of being, not an action that's happening. And that's exactly why saying, I am knowing the answer just sounds so wrong to a native speaker. The right way is just, I know the answer.
Now, this is where English gets a little tricky, and honestly, kind of fun. Some verbs can actually be both a state verb and an action verb. It all depends on their meaning in the sentence.
Okay, let's take the verb think. When you use it to give your opinion, it's a state. I think you are right. But when you're talking about the mental process, the gears actually turning in your head, it becomes an action. What are you doing over there? Oh, I am thinking about our vacation.
It's the exact same deal with the verb have. When it's about possession, it's a state. He has a car. You would never say he is having a car. That's just incorrect. But when have means to experience something, then it becomes an action. He is having a great time.
One last great example is with our sense verbs. When the verb taste describes a quality of something, it's a state. This soup tastes amazing. But when it describes the physical act of someone checking the flavor, well, that's an action. Look over there. The chef is tasting the soup.
So there you have it. We've built the blueprint, and we've learned how to direct our movie. Now, it's time to put you in the director's chair. But before you get started, let's do a super quick recap of everything we just covered. The formula is am, is, or are, plus a verb with ing. We use it for things happening right now, for temporary situations, for fixed future plans, and, of course, to complain about annoying habits. And don't forget the big exception. Those stative verbs usually stay in the simple form. So, I'll leave you with this little challenge. Just look around you, wherever you are right now. What is happening? Maybe a car is driving by. You are listening to my voice. The world is always in motion, right? It's a constant movie. The only real question is, what's your movie about today?